Welcome back. This is Newsroom here on SABC News. Now, all of us are guilty of complaining about stress at some point. Now, on that note, Bloomberg scored 74 countries around the world for their stressed out factor. On the research conducted, 2 African countries came out on top. Nigeria in first place, followed by us here in South Africa in second place. With the 7 variables that were looked at, South Africa came in the top in income inequality, we know that, and also life expectancy, sharing that with Nigeria. Countries like Norway and Luxembourg were named the least stressed nations in the world. Now, to talk to us about why we are so stressed, we are joined by clinical psychologist Johan van Rooyen, live from Cape Town. Good morning, Johan. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ruben. It's a pleasure.
Why are we so stressed, Johan?
Well, personally, when looking at the report, it's that high levels of income inequality and the unemployment rate of 25%. Now, if people are uncertain, high levels of uncertainty leads to anxiety or stress. So in South Africa, there's lots of uncertainty at the moment. There's uncertainty about the political future, uncertainty about the economy. So systemically, there's uncertainty. And then personally as well, people are struggling. People are sitting with lots of uncertainty about their own lives. The divorce rate in South Africa is high. So at my practice, I see from the ages of 7 years and older people dealing with that uncertainty, which leads to anxiety disorders and stress.
The divorce rate is high, the suicide rate is high here in South Africa. Is it time for us to look for some intervention with the stress? It seems that it's bubbling out on the streets at times with the kinds of road rage and racist incidents and the like that we're seeing.
People definitely need to be more accountable. I think it starts on a personal level. Luckily, South Africans are quite resilient. You can see it on social media. When people are stressed in South Africa, I think as a defense mechanism, people make jokes. But I think personally, people need to take responsibility. You need to know your own stress levels. And if you get to a point where you do realize that you're very stressed, you need to go and speak to a doctor or go and speak to a counselor or psychologist. Systemically as well, you need to, I think luckily there's interventions happening in the country. You see big interventions like random acts of kindness where people actually start making a difference. And I think things like that will definitely make a difference and will help.
Stress and depression. What's the difference between the two and how do you deal with them?
Well, stress and depression, I prefer to talk about anxiety and depression. Anxiety can definitely lead to depression if it's unattended. Depression is if you get to a point in your life where you believe that you have no future. Depression is when you actually feel so low that it can lead to suicidal ideation or suicide. So anxiety is something that you feel in your body. People get anxious, sweaty palms, heartbeat, where their functioning is compromised. So the one can definitely lead to the other.
Now, this week we saw an incident on social media where one of my colleagues was mugged live on camera. Yes. I asked him, why didn't you ask the guy who mugged you a few questions? He thought you didn't think it was funny. But anyway, I wanted to ask you crime. Does crime in the South African context play a big role with regards to anxiety and stress? And is it overplayed in the media?
I don't think it's overplayed at all. I think, once again, the uncertainty, not feeling safe is a big thing. When you drive in your car and you're not feeling safe, when you're bombarded by newspapers every day and you read of murders and crime, then it definitely leads to uncertainty and if not feeling safe, which will definitely lead to higher stress levels.
Was there anything positive for us as South Africans that came out of this Bloomberg report, Johan?
Sure. I don't know. When I actually looked at the report, my stress levels did increase as well. So for me, there was not much that was positive about it. I think for me, the shocking part is the unemployment rate and then the life expectancy of just 58 years. So it means that people need to be more accountable. People need to start looking after themselves health-wise so that we can get that up.
Well, Johan, I'm going to try and implement some of that in my life. I don't know. I don't always know if one should follow through with these reports. It is another report after all. Thank you very much, Johan van Rooyen, clinical psychologist, talking about a Bloomberg report that South Africa, the second most stressed out society in the world. I could have told you that. Anyhow,